And I ain't hit no drop in a minute. No, I'm about my business.
Rappers Got Podcast, episode 46. Is your host, Diggy Bailz.
Bailz Pagliacci.
And today we wanted to talk about being productive with your time, how to utilize your time as an artist, what traps not to fall into, kind of all around just a helpful episode.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you feel like is your biggest waste of time while you're trying to make music?
My biggest waste of time, if anybody knows me, is I am addicted to a game called League of Legends, and I will sit on that for 6-7+ hours and just play my heart out, even if I'm losing. And it's become an issue sometimes. Where
League of Legends, is that like a phone game?
It's like it's not a phone. It's on a phone now, but it's more like a computer game.
Okay.
And like you locked in for like 30 minutes. So once I'm in, I'm in. And I do stream it to my fans, but I really just be in there playing just to play.
Yeah.
That's mine. What about yours? He's a hard worker, though.
I think I've kind of cut out distractions when it comes to working on. If I'm here, like if I come to the studio, is to work.
Yeah, you're not playing grab ass in here.
I think that helps me a lot, though.
It
Having
does.
a separate place where if I go here, it's solely to work.
Mhm.
And that's why, like, I had the TV at the old spot, and in between sessions, I would play like a game of like 2K
Mhm.
just to get my mind off the shit for a second so I could go and mix the next record. But I also feel like you wind up spending a little bit extra time that you weren't planning on spending playing video games.
Oh,
You know
yeah, you
what I
definitely
mean?
do.
Like you might play one game and that should have been enough, but then you're like, nah, let me play one more. Let me play one more.
That's my-
And then you 3 hours in, it's like, yeah, you could have been working for the past 3 hours. Instead, you're playing video games.
Yeah, my shift be 7 hours. Then my hip be hurting. Then it's like if I wanted to like stand up to record, it's like I really can't do it.
Yeah.
It becomes an issue.
I feel like, sorry. I feel like as an artist, like what you're trying to do is such a hard thing to achieve that distractions will kill you.
Yes.
Not necessarily kill you, but they will prolong the process
It hinders.
for sure. And I think that the quicker you start to recognize that, and that could even be just having extra people at the studio with you.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That could be like, there's so many ways you can become distracted in doing this that you have to start to acknowledge them and you have to kind of weed them out and realize, is this productive and does this work toward my goal? Does bringing 5 people to the studio that are now having side conversations and I want to join the conversation when I should be recording, is that helping with what I'm doing? Or does that ruin my time and now I'm working half-time because the rest of the time was spent speaking? You know, like I feel very strongly about when I go to a studio session, if it was me as an artist,
Mhm.
I'm going to get the work done. So if I booked X amount of hours, I'm going with these records prepared, written out already, beats ready.
Orchestrated in my head. I gotta repeat the shit. Line
Yeah, I
for
already
line,
practiced it.
everything
So
in my-
like
yep.
everything's solid. And when I get there, I want to knock out these tracks. I don't have time to talk. I don't want to bring people that are gonna be speaking the entire time. And I think that like the first studio I went to had a pool table. And when I got signed by them, I would be at the pool table
Playing pool.
rocking with the homies. And it's like, what are you doing here?
Playing
You know what I'm
pool.
saying? Like, what are you actually supposed to be doing here? Because if you're playing pool, you're not doing what you're
You might as
supposed
well
to
go
be
to the
doing
pool
here.
hall. You can come to the studio
Right.
for that shit for.
Right. Like you see it as like a little break. And I get taking breaks in between records or whatever. You know, get your drink on, smoke on, whatever you need to do. But also, like, you need to acknowledge what you're there for. And the same thing applies to your home. It actually becomes harder when it's at your house.
And I'm gonna be at the fucking testament of that because that shit sits in my house and it's like the same place where I record music is the same place I also work from home from for my regular actual real job. And it's the same place I find my entertainment and pleasure within playing the game. So that's literally 3 things that one space is for. And sometimes a lot of those the other 2 that I really don't really care about or be focusing on usually trump over the music sometimes, which is the truth about it. But that's also something that, you know, for me personally, I know in my mind. And sometimes it puts me at a place where it's like, yo, you just sat here for like 5 hours playing this video game. You could at least wrote a song. You could have probably recorded something, had it sent out the day to have them mix it already. Like, But you just sitting here playing a game. It eats at the artist in me a little bit.
I think certain things that we tell ourselves, like, nah, I just need a mental break from the shit. Like, I need a mental break to become more productive. You got to be really careful about that mental break and the time that it takes,
Exactly.
and how like that, what could be 20 minutes turns into the whole day.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're just like, fuck it, I'll do it tomorrow. And tomorrow comes, you do the same shit. And the next day, same shit. And then you're falling into this hole of kind of never getting the job done and always kind of running from it once it becomes uncomfortable.
Yep.
Writer's block should not be a reason to not come back to the work that day. It should be a reason to maybe get up and take a walk and then come back to the work. But the accomplishment is the work. You know, I have a homie that comes through, and he was saying how like sometimes if he smokes or like he has like a beer or some shit when he's recording, like he just doesn't necessarily feel like doing it anymore. And I was like, because you're having the reward before any of the work is done.
Ooh.
Like I feel like instead of smoking that shit, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, that's what I do to kind of get in the zone. And if you honestly feel that way, then sure. But how I feel is wait till the song is done to then go and smoke that blunt. Wait till the song is done to then pop the bottle. Because there's going to be time while the engineer is mixing the shit where you're not even needed, really.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you might be needed for a couple of opinions. You know, how do you feel about this? Oh, I like that. But outside of that, like your work is done. So rather than getting to the studio and the first thing you do is you pop open the bottle and you start pouring yourself a drink, wait for that. Do the work and then go pop that bottle and pour yourself a drink because now you won.
The problem is anybody gonna wait.
But that's what I'm saying.
You know, it's gonna be the complete opposite.
And that's the shit that if you could start training yourself, because I feel like a lot of the shit that we do is just bad habits that we need to unlearn.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I'm saying? So if you could start training yourself to start doing it the proper way or the most productive way, I don't know what the proper way is. You know what I mean? It's different for everyone.
Everybody.
But like if you could start training yourself to do it the most productive way and understanding rewards as a whole. Like, I'm not saying you can't party, but like, did you go to the studio and get shit done first? If the studio's in your crib, did you get the record recorded first before you went to the party? Or did you party and now you're back at the crib all wasted and you're not even useful?
Anything.
You know what I'm saying? Like now you're all twisted and you can't even fucking write if you wanted to. So it's like, if you would have recorded that record and then went to the party, at least you know you did something.
And that's kind of some even for me personally, like some of the practices I've started doing was I bought one of those fucking dry erase boards, and I started writing because like I write a bunch of songs usually in in a batch of time, and then I just basically have them sitting there until I have the the fucking oomph to record, I guess that you would call it. But then now that I started putting those songs on top of that whiteboard, and as I record them, I start erasing them. It just in life, everything's about like technically a dopamine hit, like what you're getting from that signal in your fucking brain. And it's like honestly having something that's visually there that I'm seeing that's looking at me like kind of shaking its head at me like, bro, what are you doing? But by the time, I put the work in and I actually fucking erase that shit off, that dopamine goes off of my head. And then at that point, I feel like I needed a reward while I may play the game or just chill out or just get high.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, it's just like if I'm doing the complete opposite, it's like I'm not gonna focus on the music that's up there at that point at all.
I don't know if all human beings are like this or if it's a me thing, but like when it comes to the work, right? I feel like I could find comfort after everything is complete, where I'm unavailable to find comfort before it's complete. I need to do something. Like that productivity, something needs to get done before I could feel comfortable with myself. And I think that that's why like a business like this actually works for me, because I'm someone who like on a day-to-day basis, if I was sitting in the crib, like, and I want days like this where I could just kind of chill out and relax. But I tell myself that, and then on one of those days, if I'm like laying in bed the whole day, I'm just like, what are you doing? Head to the studio and do something. You know what I mean?
And the difference between me is that should have gone in my mind, like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm still going to do what the fuck I was just doing. Nothing at all.
Yeah. And I think a lot of artists are like that.
No, they definitely are.
You know what I mean? Now, what's an actual accomplishment when it comes to working on records?
Just getting the shit done, which is
Do you have to record the whole record for it to be an accomplishment?
yeah.
You do?
I would say
Yeah.
for me it would be I would have to
'Cause-
because I've taken so much time to try to get away from doing it like for no reason. It's like once I get it done, it's like that's the accomplishment right there.
See, for me, if I pull up a beat, right, and I write that first verse, I consider that an accomplishment.
Oh shit, real shit.
If I write that first verse and that's all I got done for the day, I have tomorrow to record it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need to necessarily do everything in one shot because sometimes you write that verse and after you're done with that verse, you're like, I'm not really feeling it right now.
Mm-hmm.
So rather than me stand up there and try to record some shit when I'm not in the zone anymore, I'm just taking my win. You know what I mean? Like, okay, that written was the win today.
Recording when you're not in the zone is the most disgusting
The worst,
feeling
bro.
ever.
Because then you're doing 50 takes when it's like, yo, tomorrow you'll probably bang this out in one.
Easy.
You know what I mean?
That's
like,
facts.
I remember back in the day, I would have my artist Rod at the studio, and he religiously records fucking 100 takes. Like, he just never feels comfortable with his verse. And I used to get to that like 50th take, and I might be exaggerating, you know what I mean? But like, you get to that 20th take, you get to that 30th take, and I would just hit the space bar and just, because I used to have a little talk back. So I would talk into the mic, yo, come out here. And he'd be like, he'd come out, what's up? I'd be like, nah. Like, we're done.
Yeah, it's too much.
Like, we're done today.
No more.
Or we're done right now. Like, go in the other room, vibe out, relax, come back when you feel like it's time. You know what I mean? But like right now, you're not in the zone. And I think that might have frustrated him at the time. But I just know that whatever we get out of this session is not going to be what you want. It's not going to
be the best final product.
You know what I mean? It's not going to be what you want. Like the reason why you're not hitting it right away is the same reason why when someone sends me a beat and I don't write to it immediately, I could come back to it at a later date. But chances are, if it didn't hit me right on the spot, there's a reason for it. You know what I mean? Like, yo, when people send me beats and I open it up and I have nothing to it, chances are I just don't have something for that beat.
That shit.
You know what I mean?
I feel like nothing is popping up in my head.
Right. Like not a single word.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah,
right.
I'm out of here.
Yeah.
This ain't for me.
Yeah, that beat just might not be for me. You know what I mean? Sometimes there are beats that you go back to like months later, but maybe in that time it was not for you.
Yeah, it was not for you, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like maybe the time and place that you're at in life, that song just it's not ready to be made yet. So I think that to be productive, don't write to that first beat that you're struggling with. Keep looking.
Find that beat that just brings it
Smacks
out.
you.
Just instantly, just like words just start coming out the top of your fucking head and you're just like, oh shit, this is it?
I have a homie, Mankari, and he sent me 2 records from his project that he wants me on. And both those records, the second that I started playing them, I had words already ready for them. And he hit me up and he was like, yo, if you don't want to do both, like you don't have to. I was like, no. Like I need to hop on both because both of the records, as soon as I hit play, I had words ready in my head.
It already resonated with me.
As soon as that open verse came, I'm already like flowing because those records just spoke to me. That's good on him that he was able to pick out those 2 records that he knew would speak to me.
Yep.
You know, that's a talent in itself. But I feel like we too often try to pressure ourselves into working on records that maybe don't work for us.
And that goes right into that productivity shit because you're wasting your time when you could be using that time to utilize on something that's more beneficial.
Yeah.
Or something that suits you more as far as your sound.
For sure. You're going to waste a lot of time just trying to write a single line when it's like that beat was never for you in the first place. You know, so like I think taking small wins is important. I think that knowing what you're doing with your time. I think that less rewards for shit that you haven't accomplished yet. That's big. What else do you feel is big as far as cutting out distractions? And
I honestly just feel like friendships. And I don't want to say cut out friendships. That's not basically where I'm going.
No, but there's a time and place for friendship.
There's a time and a place for you to have like friends and shit. And it's once again, I'm not sitting here saying I'm holier than thou because I be doing this shit constantly. There's sometimes I'll be go chill, go smoke with my friends and chill and vibe out. And in my head, I'm just like, oh, I'm supposed to be doing some music over here, ain't I? I'm supposed to be doing something that's supposed to be like music oriented. But at that specific time, I was like, this is not where I'm supposed to be at. And then the next week I say to myself, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to actually do what I need to do. And then I don't do it. And it becomes like a habit. And the situation where it becomes like low key in the back of my mind, I'm kind of tearing at myself. And it's always counterproductive to do shit like that, where I could just go get the work done.
See, I think that when it comes to friendship, I think that those are days you have to block off as like a relaxation day.
Yeah.
I think that like there'll be certain Sundays where if I don't have any sessions booked or I'm not working on some freelance shit and I know that I just have open availability. Me and you recorded 2 episodes. We don't have to record this Sunday. I know that, okay, I could go kick it.
Yep, exactly.
But that day needs to be blocked off just to kick it. You know what I mean?
Because after that, you don't want to
And I can't do that every week.
Yep.
That can only be like once every 2 weeks. That can only be once every so often because that day is puts it aside for not being productive. But I'm scheduling that day out. I'm not letting that day hinder the productivity because I already knew this day I'm not going to do anything. And I'm just going to use it as my little mental health break. Fucking go kick it with the homies, talk to them, you know, vibe. And that makes it easier for me to not feel like, wow, you're a fucking waste of time.
Exactly. I know a lot of artists experience that feeling. And they have that thought in their mind. It's like, yo, I should be. Well, those that are taking it more seriously than others, like, yeah, I shouldn't be doing this shit.
Or worse, like I was saying earlier, like they'll take that chill day with the homies and they'll bring them to the studio.
And you know what's crazy? The one thing I always remember about J. Cole is when it was like a recent documentary, probably like 2 years ago or so, but he was at a party or some shit. He came out the party and his friends, they was all drinking and smoking, and he just looked around like, yo, what the fuck am I doing here? And then after that, he locked himself in that fucking apartment in New York City and fucking became J. Cole. So it was just like, it really be those times of like that self-realization or that clarity, like, oh shit, what I'm really trying to achieve, if I really feel like I can get there, but the distraction and things that's around me at that specific point, I have to get rid of for me to reach that point. And if I'm not able to do that, then there's going to be issues or there's always something that's going to pop up that's going to stop me from getting where I want to be.
Your homies are never going to know that there are hindrance to your career achievements, right? Like they're not going to feel like if they're at the studio with you, they feel like they're there to support you. So they don't feel like they're actually hindering your time.
It doesn't seem like it.
You know, and I could understand why they wouldn't feel like that because that's a horrible thought process. It takes a different type of human to step back and be like, yo, guys, us being here is actually fucking up his career.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not a lot of people are going to feel like that. They want to be part of the picture.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's a difficult task to turn around and be like, hey, I can't bring you guys to the studio anymore. And I don't think if you have a sit down with your homies and if they're really your dogs, like you grew up with these people and they know you, I don't think that it should be something offensive if you turn around and say, hey, me bringing you to the studio is actually fucking with my productivity, so I need to stop doing that. After I leave the studio, I'm going to hit you up and we'll all link and do whatever we're going to do. I think that is a better use of time. And I don't think that a person who actually rides for you is going to take offense to that. I think that that's something that should be self-explanatory.
Because honestly, whenever it comes, when I do have those times when I'm doing the right thing as being an artist, I will tell them like, yo, I can't come chill. I got to do the podcast. Or yo, I can't come chill. I got to record these songs. Or yo, chill. I can't come out. And they be like, all right, cool.
Right.
Next time.
Here's a good question for artists at home. Would you bring your friends to your day job?
Hell no.
Some people would. Some people are the type that hit their boy up. Yo, I'm working over here. Come through.
You know what's funny? I actually have been to a few of my friends' jobs, but it was like mostly like security and some shit. But I have.
Okay, now let me ask you a question. As you're there, are they doing their job?
Hell no.
Right.
That's what I'm there for.
Okay. What you're doing as a musician is work. Even though it seems fun, it's work. Especially if you want to get to the places that you want to get to, right? So now if I'm bringing my friends, same concept with my day job. If my friends come, I'm probably not doing my job.
It's chill time, fun time, play time.
We're chilling, we're talking, we're, catching up. Like, you're probably not doing work. So you have to acknowledge that and you have to know when to separate. And the amount of hours that you're at a studio, unless you have like a home studio where it's like you have availability 24/7, that's a little bit different. But if you're going to book a session and you're going to be at the studio, I think your friends can cope with 4 hours of you not being with them.
Of course.
You know what I mean? I don't think that that's going to be such a big deal, especially if you're booking like a daytime session and you're going to be there from 2 to 6. I think that your homies, once they get out of work at 5 o'clock or whatever, I think they'll be able to cope with the fact that you were at the studio all day without them.
I think it's just once again that perception of I have to have people with me while I'm in the studio because it helps my creativity, it helps whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, when you really think about it, if they're not an artist and they're not helping you build that song, it's a distraction.
I also think that it's the idea that it's like I'm bringing my homies for the ride. You know, I'm gonna
Yeah,
put
that
them in
story.
position, right? And it's like, what did they do while they were there?
Exactly. If they're not helping the creative process,
Now, if they're helping you write, cool, bring them.
be there.
If they're helping you create like a marketing plan,
Be there.
be there.
Beats, something.
Something, anything. They have to be adding to the equation. But if they're not doing anything, if they're sitting on the couch screaming, playing 2K, damn, y'all had that. Like that shit right there, not necessary.
There's somebody's phone going off in the middle of the fucking
Right.
session while you're recording. You just been sweating that motherfucker trying to get the best take.
Look,
It's all happened.
I had a session where I was recording the artist in the room that I'm sitting in, like in the actual like tracking or in the mixing room. I had the artist tracking, and this chick picks her phone up as he's recording, and she's just talking on the phone. And I had to turn and be like, "Yo, can you go somewhere?" And she's like, "Oh, my bad."
I
And
didn't
it's
know.
like,
I didn't know it get picked up. It's stupid shit like that. So I know, like, I didn't know that would get picked up in the mic. I'm like, what? What are you talking about?
we're all silent in here.
So
The
you
only
thi-
person you could hear is the person recording music.
Like,
So
bitch,
what did you think was happening?
when you in the studio, it's just like being at the movies.
Facts.
Shut your ass up.
Bro,
Shut your ass up.
I've had sessions where I had to turn and ask the artist, "Yo, can you tell your homies to be quiet?"
And at that point, that becomes ridiculous. It's like you're babysitting in a sense, and it's like that's not what the
Well, it
engineer's
just
there to do.
it becomes ridiculous because it's like they clearly don't understand what we're
The
doing here.
dynamics of what's going on here.
Right. And if they don't understand what's going on here, they shouldn't be here. You know what I mean? Like if they don't understand what you're trying to achieve, and I think that that's the biggest issue is people don't understand what you're trying to achieve. They understand that you're trying to make music, and to them that's fun and that's dope. Yo, my homie's a dope ass artist, but they don't understand your homie's trying to build a career and a business. And if you're there and you're not being productive with them, you're not aiding them. You know, you're just kind of making them have a harder time to get to that final stage. And I think that like that's a big thing for people to recognize. As far as productivity when it comes to recording, I think not enough artists practice their songs before they get to the recording stage.
That was the biggest flaw that I had
Yeah.
recording music, that I didn't practice the songs. And it's like now I can't record a song if I don't know the song in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
I can't. It's
I'm not
almost
saying you have to
impossible.
memorize the whole shit. All I'm saying is you have to run through it enough. Like, yo, when I would have shows back in the day, the whole day I was playing my set list and I was just rapping the songs in the car.
Mhm.
I was rapping them at my crib. I was just making sure that like when I got to the show, I knew what the fuck was going
It's
on.
natural.
And it didn't work if I did it a week prior. Like I couldn't practice a week prior. It had to be the day of. But I'm also the same type of person that like the day of a test in school, I would have to look at all the answers right before the test
Yeah, me too.
because I had this like photographic memory where I would be like, okay, I remember seeing this,
Mhm.
right? Like when I would have the day of the show and I'd be playing all the music, it's like, all right, to carry this over into the next like 3 hours, that's going to be easy. Now, if I was practicing last week, it might not have been so easy.
Doesn't
It would
come off as
actually have been
fluid.
harder,
Mhm.
you know? So you have to learn your processes and learn what's easiest for you. So if that's rapping the songs that you're about to record before you get to the studio, do that. But problems that I've seen, don't come to the studio with a half-written song.
And like, yo, let me just finish the rest of this verse later. You're running out of time, my brother.
Yeah, like
Or my sister.
you're paying for this time and you could have done this without paying for it. Why would you come to the studio with a half-written song? Unless you were asking for advice or you were asking, yo, what do you think I should say in this last line? All right, cool. That makes sense a little bit, but still, like I still feel like you should iron out all the issues before you get to the studio. That way, as soon as you get there, you're as productive as possible and you're getting all the shit done that you needed to get done.
Exactly.
You know, so that's a big one. Writing the records before you get there, like knowing that I'm here for a purpose and that purpose is X, Y, and Z. I need to get these 3 tracks done. I booked enough time for those 3 tracks to get fully completed,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and knowing that it's on me.
Time is money, and money is valuable, or whatever the fuck that shit's
Time
called.
is valuable.
Time is valuable. There we go.
Right. But knowing that it's on you, if you don't get all 3 songs done and the engineer was sitting there like ready to go,
It's on you.
it's on you.
If you don't get them fucking songs ready to get shipped out every month, it's on you.
But yeah, so cutting out distractions and making sure that each and every time you're accomplishing at least some things. Now, I said a verse, writing a verse, I see as a win. It could be a line, bro.
Because writer block is a bitch.
It could be getting that first line down that you could see as a win. It's all what you view as success. But I think that you have to start acknowledging what your goals are. Now, I would start writing down your goals. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
I know that on Wednesday I'm off of work and I'm going to have the availability to do this. What do I need to get done that day for sure, right? When we leave school, we don't have homework anymore. And that's huge. You know what I mean? Cuz like when you had homework, you had to go when you got home.
Mm-hmm.
You knew exactly what the fuck you had to do and you wouldn't stop until you did it. Some of us would, and then we would hand in fucking incomplete work. We would hand in all this bullshit, but like if you were about your shit, you knew, okay, I have science homework tonight. I have to do this amount of pages, blah, blah, blah. And you get that shit done. When you leave school and you're out of that system of like goal oriented
It's all on you.
work, it's all on you to start creating your own goals and start creating your own homework. So it's like just because you left school doesn't mean you don't have homework. What do you have to get done, especially if you're trying to build a career? Write down your goals. Yo, on Wednesday, I'm going to get done this song and that song, just the writing process. Then on Friday, I know I'm going to be able to record. So let me go record them. But I need to iron out the writtens for that.
And even if you don't, like, write it down, you got to fucking these apps that could, like, there's an app that I use on my phone. It's like called like Time Block or some shit where I literally can map out my entire day when I'm working, when I'm going to the gym, or I'm not going to the gym. That's more what I should say. Or like just having those times where like, okay, like you said, Wednesday gonna be my time for writing, Friday's gonna be my time for recording. Saturday I'm coming up with a fucking marketing plan. But then all these things like literally take 2 to 3 hours, depending on the song you even recording. If it's like a 2-minute song, it's not gonna take you probably. Well, depending on how intricate you want to make it.
It depends because some people's writing process might take a week.
My shit is random.
I'm benefited with the ability to write a solid verse within a half an hour.
Yeah, I can't do that.
You know, but that also comes from practice. That also comes from putting in my 10,000 hours of writing music. You know, like writing because all the English classes growing up, that all contributes to the writing process as well.
That'll help.
You know what I mean? Like you don't see it when you're younger, but it does work in your favor if you're going into a field where writing is necessary.
I literally got an A on almost every fucking English or
that's
language
what I'm saying. I was the shit at English.
It was like, fuck it. You brought some math to me. I'm like,
Bro, science was like my downfall. You know, English and history were my shit. But like if you're talking about hip hop, like English and history are going to be very important. You know what I mean? Like knowing the history of your craft and knowing like the people that came before you, that's important, right? Knowing how to construct a verse, knowing how to write syllables, knowing how this is going to fit into this, right? Knowing your bridge section, your pre-chorus section, your fucking, your verse, knowing all these different breakdowns, that's important. And if you had a decent time doing English classes growing up, I think that carries over into music really well. You know what I mean? But I feel like writing down your goals is very important. If you have to download apps like Bailz said, I would do that. I would make sure that you always have your days ironed out. And now obviously that slips sometimes, but it's on you to get back on track and start, you know, really like taking advantage of your time.
Because I always say to myself, my career probably would have been, I'm like putting that in the air, but it's like, maybe if I would have did a little bit more shit and not be playing the game for X amount of hours, who knows what got completed or what would have gotten done. But
for sure,
I'm still in that fucking, and that's another thing, like when you do hit a level of success, sometimes it kind of just eases your mind a little bit, like we talked about and discussed about before. It's like you kind of lift your foot off the pedal a little bit too much.
For sure. And yeah, comfort kills.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Comfort kills. I mean, even in when I was doing the studio and solely the studio was on me to make every dollar. So I was working my ass off. I'm working fucking maybe 15-hour days. I'm working, 16-hour days. where now that I have money coming in, it's not as necessary.
It's like,
You know what I mean? I
Mhm.
could kind of relax a bit. And that's why like certain artists are hitting me up to mix and shit. And it's like, I'm not just jumping at it because, yo, for me, it's like right now, bro, I don't really need to be on that grind. And, you know, that could be a problem. You know, it's one of those things where you have to understand like who you are and what your actual goal is or what your job is. And it's like, I might only want to mix 1 or 2 records a week now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and still, if I mix 1 or 2 records a week at the end of the year, that's what? That's 100-something records.
I just told you I'm not good at math, so.
You know, that's 100-something records. If there's 52 weeks in a year and I'm mixing 1 or 2 a week, that's 100-something records. I'm comfortable with that.
Very fucking sharpened.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm very comfortable with that. And that allows me to devote my time to those records rather than this day I have this, that, and now I have fucking, at the end of the week, I have 15 records to mix and, you know, I don't know where I'm going to squeeze them in because next week is booked up too.
Just like the episode before this one, I honestly just feel like there's finding that balance where you're not getting too distracted by shit that doesn't really help you. Like I said, I use me streaming the video game in a sense as a guise for I have fans on Facebook who could possibly just jump in and want to say something to me or donate something to me, which has happened before. But for the most part, the amount of time that I'm on, like if I'm on for 2 hours, that's fine. If I'm on for 6, 7 hours, what are you doing?
Right.
That's obsessive.
So maybe it's smart to write down the amount of time that you will allow yourself to play the game.
Exactly. You
know what I mean?
And then
all right, yo,
I
got an hour for this. I've already penned it into my schedule, and I have an hour that I'm gonna devote to this game. I know it sounds fucking stupid, but if that's what it takes to get your mental back straight, then do it. You know what I mean? Like it's not wrong to have pleasures outside. Some would call them guilty pleasures.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
It's not wrong to have guilty pleasures. It's just that you can't let the guilty pleasures take over the actual fucking goal.
And you know what? That's the best way I could probably end that shit.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to end it too.
And I also fucked up with the camera.
All right, guys. Rappers Guide Podcast. We're signing out. This is your host, Diggy Bailz.
Bailz Pagliacci.
Peace out, guys.